Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel, share, like, as well as drop a comment on the comment section. So, our lecture today is titled The Features, the Characteristics of Third World Countries. The features of third world countries. Now, the concept of third world can be defined according to Professor Saleh Dauda, as the less developed countries that belong to neither the advanced industrialist capitalist countries nor the Soviet socialist bloc during the Cold War. Now, it was first used by a French demographer, Alfred Sauvy, in 1952, to describe those countries that are poor and powerless in the international political system. Now, according to Walter Rodney, 1980, Walter Rodney describes the concept of third world as the undeveloped countries that are locked out of development by imperialists and the post-colonial experience. Now, comprehensively, therefore, the third world countries are those who are located in the southern hemisphere and are regarded as periphery. They are countries that are found in the continent of Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Now, what are the features of the third world countries? Now, the features of the third world countries can be categorized into economic characteristics, demographic characteristics, cultural and political characteristics, and technological as well as miscellaneous characteristics. Now, let us look at economic characteristics. Now, under the economic indicators, we have number one, poverty, general poverty and low standard of living. Now, don't forget that most third world countries are facing the major problem of general poverty and of course problem of general poor living standard as well as absolute poverty. Okay, now most of the countries that actually exist in the third world, okay, of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, they have this common denominator amongst them. Okay, and what is this common denominator? That most people in the third world nations are ill-fed. Okay, they are ill-fed, ill-housed, ill-clothed, and illiterate, and one third of the population is poor. Okay, so that is actually under poverty and low standard of living. Number two, burden of internal and external debt. Now, most of the third world countries are loans and grants receiving nations, and they depend on foreign loan, to finance their budgets. Okay, as such, their internal as well as external debts, keep piling up. Okay, so that is actually number two. Number three, low per capita income. Now, due to low national income and huge population growth rate, per capita income in the third world countries is very low. Okay, so that is actually another feature. Another feature, okay, under the economic indicator is over dependence on agriculture. Now, according to the World Bank report of 2010, 66% of the population in the third world countries live in rural areas and they are involved in agriculture. But this agricultural sector is backward due to old and traditional methods of cultivation, inefficient farmers, lack of credit facilities, unorganized agricultural market. Okay, so those are the things. Another feature of the economic indicator is unemployment. The next one, that's number 6, is low level of productivity. Number 7 is dual economy. Now, what is this dual economy? It refers to the existence of advanced and modern sectors with traditional, side by side, traditional and backward sectors. there is a coexistence of modern and traditional methods of production in urban and rural areas. That number 8 is import-based economy. Number 9 is vicious circle, of inflation. All of these are actually economic indicators of, of features of third world. Now let us look at demographic characteristics or demographic features. Now, what are demographic features? Number 1, high population rate. Number 2, poor health and diseases. Number 3, brain drain. Number 4, low level of education. Number 5 is pollution. Okay, so those are just the 5 points under the demographic characteristics. Now let us look at cultural and political characteristics. Number 1 is political instability. Number 2 is government controlled by wealthy persons, of course captured government. Okay, then number 3, violation of rule of law. Number 5, electoral violence. Number 4, low adherence to fundamental human rights. Number 5, electoral violence. Number 6, bad governance. Number 7, internal crisis. Number 8, primordial sentiment. So those are the 8 points under the cultural and political characteristics of third world. Now let us look at technological characteristics of third world. Now, technological and miscellaneous characteristics of third world. Number 1 is low level of technology. So their technology is actually, the level of their technology is actually very low. They don't have very complex scientific technology. Okay, so that is actually number 1. Number 2 is lack of infrastructural facilities. Lack or let's say inadequate infrastructural facilities. So you find out that their infrastructure, talking about road, talking about electricity, talking about pipe-borne water, talking about all of these things, are all substandard or inadequate. They are very inadequate. Okay, then the next one is low level of organization. Okay, the third world countries are not properly organized, and because of low level of organization, most of the third world countries are not properly developed. So because of that, you can actually say that low level of organization is part of their features. Okay, the next one is low self-esteem. Most third world countries or leaders actually look up to the Western Western world, for their culture, for their education, and all of that. So because of that, there is actually low self-esteem, within the third world countries. Now, what is important to note here is that it is not all third world countries that have these characteristics. Okay, there are some of them that are actually doing well economically. Some of them have actually moved, above this ladder of these bracket features that I mentioned. Some of them have moved up, and some of them have still remained largely on the level of these features I mentioned. But what is important is to note that majority of the countries in the third world are still ravaged by these features, that I mentioned. Thank you very much.